All right, so we're diving into some heavy stuff today.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the planet. You've probably heard about, the environmental crisis.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we all have at this point. We know things aren't great, right?
Yeah.
But there's this report. It's called the Living Planet Report.
Right.
It comes out every year, and it's it's put together by WWF and ZSL.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, they're like the big players when it comes to tracking this stuff.
Absolutely, yeah.
And this year, the 2024 report, it's got this statistic that just, honestly, it stopped me in my tracks.
Oh, wow.
It says there's been a 73%
Whoa.
average decline in monitored wildlife populations
Wow.
since 1970. 73%.
That's huge.
It's mind-boggling, right? How is that even possible?
Yeah, no, it's a stark number. Really, it is. And sadly, it just reflects this widespread loss of biodiversity that's happening, everywhere. And the report really digs into why this is happening.
Okay.
And it's not just one single cause or anything.
It's not like one thing we can point to and be like, that's the bad guy.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so the report, it says habitat loss. That's the biggest issue. So is that basically just us, humans taking up too much space?
It is, yeah. Think of it like us, constantly expanding our footprint, deforestation, whether it's for timber or farmland.
Mm-hmm.
You've got these sprawling cities, and they just keep replacing these wild areas.
Right.
And each time that happens, countless species are losing their homes.
Wow.
And it's not even just the immediate loss of shelter, right?
Yeah.
Ecosystems, they're all interconnected.
So you're saying even if an animal can kind of survive that initial
right.
displacement,
its food source might be messed up, or its breeding patterns could get disrupted.
Oh, right, so many things rely on each other.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Precisely. The report, it highlights how the loss of even just one species can have this cascading effect on the entire ecosystem.
Like a domino effect. Okay, and then on top of that, we've got climate change.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we hear about it all the time, but I'm curious, how is that affecting animals? In ways we might not realize.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just about the planet warming up, right?
Right.
It's about all these unpredictable and extreme weather events that are happening, more often. And the report actually gives a good example. The snowshoe hare, they change color with the seasons to camouflage.
Oh, right.
But as the winters get shorter and snow cover becomes unreliable, they become way more vulnerable to predators.
Wow, so they're survival strategy is actually backfiring.
Exactly.
Because of climate change.
Yeah, it's a good example of how even these subtle shifts in the environment can have this huge impact.
That's crazy. So we've got habitat loss, climate change, and I know the report also talks about overexploitation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, absolutely. They dive deep into that.
Yeah.
And it's not just about poaching,
We all think of elephant tusks and rhino horns.
Right, exactly. Though that's a huge problem.
Of course, yeah. But it's more than that.
It is. It is.
Okay, so I've also heard about unsustainable fishing. What makes certain fishing practices worse than others?
Well, it really comes down to the rate of removal, right?
Okay.
Versus the species' ability to actually replenish itself.
Right, so it's about balance.
Exactly. The report mentions the Patagonian toothfish as a good example.
Okay.
It's a popular delicacy. They often market it as Chilean sea bass.
Oh, okay. I've seen that on menus.
Yeah. And decades of overfishing nearly drove them to extinction before stricter regulations were put in place.
So even if a practice is, technically legal, if we're just taking too much too quickly.
Yeah, it throws the whole system out of whack.
It makes sense.
Right.
Okay, so we can't forget about pollution either, right?
Absolutely not.
The report, I know it breaks down the different types.
Yeah, there's industrial waste, agricultural runoff, even the stuff we use in our homes.
It's everywhere.
It is.
Whenever I think about pollution, I always think about plastic in the ocean.
Yeah.
It's horrifying.
It is.
To see those pictures, animals entangled in debris.
Right.
Or ingesting those microplastics.
Absolutely. In the report, it talks about how microplastics are now found in every corner of the oceans.
Scary.
Affecting everything from tiny plankton to large whales. They specifically mentioned the Laysan albatross.
Okay.
They mistake plastic for food a lot of the time.
Oh, no.
And the chicks are literally starving to death.
Oh, gosh.
But their bellies are full of this indigestible trash.
That's heartbreaking.
It is.
Okay, so we've talked about, the causes now.
Mm.
Habitat loss, climate change, overexploitation, and pollution. What does the report say about why we should even care about biodiversity loss? I mean, like, beyond the ethical reasons, which are obvious, right?
Yeah. Well, this is where it gets really crucial. Healthy ecosystems, they provide what we call ecosystem services.
Okay.
Things like clean air, clean water,
Right.
pollination for our crops, even climate regulation.
So it's not just about saving the cute animals. It's about, like, safeguarding the systems that keep us alive, too.
Exactly.
That's a big deal.
It is.
So what kind of impact are we talking about if these services are compromised?
The report has some sobering examples.
Okay.
Like, for instance, the collapse of fish stocks due to overfishing.
Yeah.
It has these severe economic repercussions for coastal communities that rely on fishing.
Makes sense.
And as pollinators decline, our crop yields suffer,
Right.
which can lead to food shortages and higher prices.
So it affects us all eventually.
It does. It all comes back around.
Okay, so the report paints a pretty dire picture,
Yeah.
but it wouldn't be a deep dive if we didn't talk about solutions.
Right. We got to find some hope.
We got to find some hope.
Yeah.
So what can we as individuals actually do about this?
Well, there's a lot, actually.
Okay.
Reducing our own environmental footprint is a great starting point.
Okay, so like what? Like being more mindful of our energy use.
Exactly. Yeah. Minimizing waste.
Recycling, composting.
Yes, all of that. And then choosing sustainable products whenever we can.
Right, like choosing seafood that's been sustainably sourced.
Yes, exactly.
Or like supporting companies that, prioritize eco-friendly practices.
Yeah, using your dollar to vote.
Exactly.
The report also emphasizes supporting conservation organizations,
Right, the ones that are actually out there.
Yeah, the boots on the ground, doing the work.
Yeah, protecting habitats, helping endangered species.
Exactly.
Okay.
And of course, advocating for stronger environmental policies at local and national levels.
So making our voices heard, basically.
Yes, exactly. That can have a huge impact.
Right, because the people in charge, they work for us at the end of the day.
They do.
Okay, so it's a pretty stark reality check.
Yeah.
But it's not all doom and gloom.
No, not at all.
There are things we can do, concrete steps.
Absolutely. And awareness is key.
Yeah.
The more we understand the problem,
Uh-huh.
the better equipped we are to actually find solutions.
I love that. Okay, so this deep dive has taken us through some heavy stuff.
It has.
Declining wildlife populations, the interconnected threats, the impact on the planet, on ourselves,
Yeah.
all of it.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But also, we talked about the things we can do
Yeah,
to turn things around.
absolutely.
So it's not hopeless.
No, not at all. It's a complex issue, but it's one we can tackle if we work together.
I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, so here's something I want you to think about, all right?
Okay.
Given all this stuff we've discussed,
Mhm.
what role can technology play in all this?
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, think about AI or like sustainable farming innovations,
Yeah.
Could that be part of the solution?
Yeah.
Something to ponder, right? Maybe even go do some research on your own, learn a little bit more about it.
Definitely.
And hey, share this deep dive with your friends, your family,
Spread the word.
Spread the word. Let's get more people thinking about this stuff. All right. That's it for us today. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for having me.